The silver hair falling onto my cutting cape looked healthy, bright, and surprisingly thick. Yet the woman in front of me refused to look directly into the mirror. Her haircut had been finished only 3 days earlier, but the round sides, flat crown, and heavy fringe made her face appear more tired than it really was. She believed age had changed her reflection. I suspected something else. I stood behind her, lifted the hair at the crown with 2 fingers, moved the front diagonally across her forehead, and tucked one side behind her ear. Her eyes immediately appeared more open. Her cheekbones looked clearer, and the heaviness around her jaw seemed to disappear. Not one strand had been cut. That small adjustment revealed what many women over 60 are never told. The problem is often not gray hair, wrinkles, or age. It is the shape of the haircut. The wrong lines can pull the face downward, while the right structure can create lift, movement, and polish without surgery, complicated styling, or an attempt to look decades younger. My name is Elaine Mercer. I am 66, and I spent more than 40 years working as a hairstylist and salon educator in Oregon. Today, I see a smaller number of clients in a converted sunroom behind my home. It has tall windows, 2 antique mirrors, drawers filled with brushes and rollers, and a view of the lavender growing beside my garden fence. Most women who sit in my chair do not ask to look 20 years younger. They ask to look awake, current, and comfortable in their own skin. They want a haircut that works on an ordinary morning, not one that looks beautiful only after a professional spends 45 minutes styling it. Many arrive convinced their hair has become impossible. It may be finer at the crown, drier through the ends, or less predictable than it was years ago. Gray strands may feel coarse in one area and soft in another. These changes are common, but they do not mean your options have disappeared. The more frequent problem is a haircut that was never redesigned as the hair and face changed. It usually begins with 5 innocent words. Just give me something easy. A hurried stylist may interpret easy as short, safe, and round. The back is trimmed off the collar, the sides are left full, the crown receives very little attention, and the fringe is cut evenly across the forehead. Everything is then curled inward with a round brush. The result is neat, but it can resemble a soft helmet. As the face matures, the cheeks may become softer and the jawline less defined. A rounded haircut repeats those same curves. Instead of balancing the face, it makes the entire silhouette appear wider and heavier. A flattering haircut usually introduces contrast. Height at the crown creates a vertical direction. A diagonal fringe leads the eye toward the cheekbones. A tapered neckline makes the jaw appear cleaner. A strong perimeter gives the lower face structure. Texture allows light and shadow to move through the hair instead of disappearing into one solid mass. The first haircut that uses these principles beautifully is the textured crop. A textured crop is short, but it should not look severe. The back and sides are neatly tapered while enough length remains through the top to create movement and height. Think of it as a softer, more refined relative of the traditional pixie. This cut is especially useful when hair has begun lying flat at the crown. Longer hair creates weight, and that weight can pull fine strands downward. By shortening selected areas and building texture inside the shape, the hair begins supporting itself. For a rounder face, the top can remain slightly longer to create vertical lift. For a narrow or angular face, the crown can be kept softer, with delicate pieces around the forehead. The neckline is important. It should follow the natural head shape and become gradually softer as it moves upward. A harsh line can make the cut feel severe, while too much bulk at the back can make it appear dated. Natural silver and white hair often works wonderfully with a crop. Gray hair may have enough texture and grip to hold separation with very little product. A small amount of lightweight cream or soft pomade can be rubbed between the fingertips and worked only through the ends. Use less than you think you need. Heavy wax can flatten fine hair and expose more scalp. Begin with an amount no larger than a pea. You can always add more. One of my clients, Carol, came to me at 70 after wearing the same rounded shortcut for nearly 15 years. She was a retired librarian with beautiful white hair and a strong cowlick near the front. Her former stylist had tried to control it by cutting the fringe shorter during every appointment. The shorter it became, the more stubbornly it stood up. Instead of fighting the cowlick, I followed its natural direction. We left the front longer, shifted the part slightly, tapered the neckline, and created more height at the crown. When Carol saw the finished cut, she studied her reflection and said, "I thought my face had become rounder, it was the hair." But the detail that mattered most came several weeks later. She told me she could style it in less than 5 minutes using damp fingers and a tiny amount of cream. A haircut is not truly low maintenance if it works only in the salon. For women who prefer more length, the next option is a collarbone cut with soft waves. This shape usually falls at the collarbone or slightly below. The layers should be subtle, blended, and placed with a clear purpose. You should notice movement, not visible steps. The collarbone is a useful stopping point because it preserves length without allowing the hair to drag the face downward. It also gives you enough hair to tuck behind the ears or pull back when necessary. For women experiencing thinning at the crown, careless layering can create gaps and make density appear worse. The stylist should shorten only the sections needed to create support. In some cases, pieces beneath the surface can be cut slightly shorter so they hold up the hair above them. The cut itself then becomes a styling tool. Soft waves can add movement and make the style appear fuller, but the wave should remain relaxed. Tight curls beginning directly at the roots can create too much width. Starting the bend approximately 2 inches below the scalp usually preserves height at the crown, while adding movement through the middle and ends. You can create the effect with a large barrel curling iron, rollers, a round brush, or a wand. Direct the front sections away from the face and vary the direction slightly through the back. Leave the last inch of the ends less curled so the result does not look stiff. The goal is not perfect spirals. It is natural movement. Before using heat, apply a lightweight protectant. Mature hair can become drier and more porous, particularly after years of coloring, sunlight, and hot tools. Avoid passing an iron repeatedly over the same section. More heat rarely produces a better wave. It usually produces rougher ends. The third option is the modern lob or long bob. A lob generally falls somewhere between the chin and the collarbone. It is one of the easiest transitions for a woman who is tired of long, shapeless hair but is not ready for a shortcut. What makes a lob modern is not simply its length. The secret is a strong outer perimeter combined with invisible weight removal inside the cut. The bottom edge should look full and healthy. Excess bulk can be removed underneath, but the surface should not be covered in obvious chunky layers. A solid edge reflects light more evenly, helping fine hair appear thicker and glossier. The front may be left slightly longer than the back. One side can be tucked behind the ear while the other falls forward. That small asymmetry opens the face and creates a diagonal line near the cheekbone. The lob is versatile. It can be worn smooth, softly waved, or slightly tousled. It is usually long enough for a small ponytail while still looking deliberate when worn down. A former client named Diane had worn her hair halfway down her back for almost 30 years. She managed a family hardware store outside Eugene and considered her long hair part of her identity. By 64, the lower several inches had become thin and transparent. She knew the ends were no longer flattering, but cutting them felt like giving something up. Before taking out my scissors, I folded the ends beneath a towel at her shoulders. This allowed her to see the outline of a lob without making an immediate decision. We discussed what she would lose and what she would gain. She would lose the ability to wear one long braid, but she would gain a stronger perimeter, faster drying time, and more movement around her face. We cut the hair slightly above her shoulders, left the front a little longer, and removed bulk underneath without disturbing the outer line. At her next appointment, Diane said, "I expected to feel less like myself. I feel more like myself." The mistake to avoid with a lob is curling every end sharply inward. This can create a bubble around the face. Ask for a straighter finish or only a gentle bend, particularly if your cheeks or jaw are naturally full. The fourth option replaces one solid outline with several carefully directed lines, the soft shag. A mature shag should not look extreme or heavily chopped. The best version is controlled, airy, and adapted to the density and texture of the hair. The shortest layers are generally concentrated near the crown. They become gradually longer toward the perimeter. This creates vertical and diagonal movement rather than a stiff, rounded shape. Curtain bangs or a bottleneck fringe often pair beautifully with this cut. The fringe is shorter near the center and becomes longer toward the sides, opening around the eyes instead of covering the forehead with one heavy line. This shape can soften the forehead, draw attention toward the cheekbones, and connect naturally with the layers. The fringe must suit your real life. If you wear glasses, the longer pieces should not constantly catch on the frames. If you have a cowlick, the stylist must work with its direction. A fringe that ignores the natural growth pattern may look good in the salon and become impossible after the first wash. Technique matters too. Point cutting with straight shears can soften the edges without destroying strength. A razor may work well on healthy, thick, naturally wavy hair when used by an experienced stylist. On fine, fragile, or highly porous hair, aggressive razor cutting can leave fuzzy, weak-looking ends. I once corrected a shag that appeared layered from the front, but strangely heavy from the side. The previous stylist had cut short pieces around the face while leaving most of the weight near the jaw. The crown collapsed and the lower sides expanded. We shortened selected sections near the crown, reduced bulk behind the ears, and softened the perimeter. Because several areas had already been over-thinned, the correction required patience over more than one appointment. The lesson is simple. Adding layers is not enough. Those layers must be positioned where they create support and direct the eye upward. The fifth haircut is the pixie bob, sometimes called a bixie. This shape combines the convenience of a pixie with the softness of a bob. The back is shorter and cleaner, while more length remains through the top, temples, and front. The longer front can frame the face, move diagonally across the forehead, or tuck behind one ear. That asymmetry keeps the haircut dynamic and prevents it from becoming round. Gray hair often responds beautifully to this shape because natural texture creates body. Instead of straightening every strand, the stylist can allow a soft wave or bend to become part of the design. The back must be blended carefully. Too much weight at the curve of the head can create a visible shelf. Cutting the nape extremely short while leaving a heavy top may make the two sections look disconnected. A smooth transition is what gives the pixie bob its elegance. Daily styling should be simple. Apply a small amount of leave-in conditioner or styling cream to damp hair. Direct the fringe to one side, lift the crown with your fingers, and let it air dry or use a dryer on low speed. A wash-and-wear haircut does not mean every strand lands in the same place each morning. It means the natural variation still looks intentional. The sixth option is the architectural bob. This is one of the most powerful shapes for creating definition around the face. It is built around a clean perimeter that may sit at the chin or slightly below depending on the jawline, neck length, and density of the hair. The outer edge remains strong while excess weight is removed internally. This prevents the bob from becoming bulky without covering the surface in visible layers. The placement of the edge can influence the entire face. A clear line near the jaw gives the eye a boundary, making the features above it appear more structured. But the cut should not end at exactly the same point on every woman. If the perimeter lands at the fullest part of the jaw, it may emphasize width. Moving it slightly lower can create a more elongated effect. A longer face may benefit from a chin-length version that introduces width. Someone with a shorter neck may need the back raised slightly so the hair does not crowd the shoulders. This is why copying a photograph exactly can produce disappointing results. The person in the picture may have a different neck, jawline, growth pattern, hair density, or texture. Use photographs to explain individual elements you like. You may admire the strong bottom edge, the off-center part, the longer front, or the clean neckline. Then allow the stylist to adjust those features to your proportions. The architectural bob requires restraint. Adding too many visible layers can break the outer line and create a rounded mushroom shape. Bulk should be removed from underneath while the perimeter remains full. Healthy blunt ends reflect light more evenly than thin, feathered ends. That alone can make hair appear shinier. One of my most memorable bob clients was Marisol, a 69-year-old retired court interpreter. She was transitioning from years of dark brown dye to her natural silver. Her roots were gray, the middle remained brown, and the ends had faded into a dry golden tone. She assumed her only option was an extremely short pixie. Instead, we created a bob slightly below the jaw and removed the damaged length gradually over 2 appointments. We kept the perimeter full, softened the corners near the face, and shifted her part slightly off-center. Several months later, strangers began asking where she had her silver color done. The color had not suddenly become more attractive. The haircut gave it structure and allowed the natural variation to look deliberate. Color and cut must support each other. Many women are advised to go progressively lighter as they age. Lighter shades can soften contrast, but one pale color from roots to ends may wash out the complexion and flatten the haircut. Dimension is often more flattering than uniform brightness. This may involve preserving slightly more depth near the roots, adding subtle lowlights, weaving in delicate highlights, or allowing natural gray to remain visible. There is no rule saying every woman must embrace silver. There is also no rule saying gray must be covered. The choice is personal. What matters is whether the color works with the shape. A textured crop benefits from tonal variation because it reveals movement. A shag may lose definition beneath one dense block of dark color. A precise bob will appear less polished if the ends are badly faded or damaged. If you are transitioning from dark dye to silver, ask for a gradual plan. Depending on your hair, the process may involve fine highlights, lowlights, glosses, regular trims, or simply time. Trying to remove many years of dark color in one aggressive session can weaken the hair severely. Prices and results vary according to location, hair length, previous treatments, and the amount of correction required, so request a consultation and estimate first. The conversation before the haircut is just as important as the haircut itself. Tell the stylist how you actually manage your hair. Do not describe the routine you hope to follow. Describe an ordinary Tuesday morning. Mention whether you air dry, wear glasses, exercise regularly, tuck the hair behind your ears, sleep on one side, or need to pull it back. Point out cowlicks, previous chemical treatments, scalp sensitivity, and areas where density has changed. Then ask how the haircut will behave without a daily round brush blowout. A capable stylist should provide a specific answer. They may explain that the fringe needs a little direction, the crown can dry naturally, or the ends require a quick pass with a brush. The answer should reflect your actual routine. Next, ask where the stylist plans to create lift and where the weight will remain. This reveals whether the shape has been designed from every angle. The stylist should be considering the crown, temples, cheeks, jaw, neckline, and back of the head. Finally, ask how the ends will remain full while the overall shape stays light. This is particularly important for fine hair, lobs, and bobs. The answer may involve internal graduation, careful point cutting, or selective weight removal. The exact terminology matters less than whether the stylist can explain the plan clearly. These questions are not meant to challenge the stylist. They help prevent misunderstandings before the first strand is cut. Several quiet mistakes can still damage a good haircut. The first is excessive use of thinning shears. These scissors can be useful on very dense hair, but aggressive use on fine or porous mature hair may create weak ends that separate and frizz. Thinning shears are not automatically harmful. The problem is using them everywhere without a specific reason. The second mistake is placing volume in the wrong area. Height at the crown often creates lift, while fullness directly beside the jaw may add width. Volume should be placed according to the face and the intended shape. The third mistake is cutting the fringe too short while wet. Hair can shrink when it dries, especially if it has a wave, curl, or strong growth pattern. The fourth mistake is ignoring the neckline. Too much bulk at the back can make a short haircut feel dated. Cutting the neckline too high may make it appear harsh. The finish should respect the natural hairline and neck. The fifth mistake is waiting too long between trims. A crop, pixie bob, or architectural bob often needs reshaping approximately every 6 to 8 weeks, although growth rates vary. Softer lobs and shags may remain balanced longer. A trim is not only about split ends, it restores proportion. The crown becomes heavy, the fringe drops, the neckline expands, and the clean perimeter begins to disappear. That is how a flattering shape gradually turns back into the rounded cut you wanted to escape. Home care matters as well. Many women continue using products chosen for hair they had 15 years ago. A shampoo that once controlled oil may now feel drying. A conditioner that worked on thick hair may flatten hair that has become finer. You do not need a complicated routine. A gentle shampoo suited to your scalp, a lightweight conditioner, a leave-in product when needed, and a heat protectant will cover most situations. Apply most conditioner through the middle and ends rather than directly at the roots. Rinse thoroughly so residue does not collapse the crown. When using oils, creams, or serums, begin with a small amount. Apply it to the ends first, then smooth the surface with whatever remains on your hands. Purple shampoo can reduce unwanted yellow tones in white or silver hair, but using it too frequently may leave the hair dull, violet, or dry. It should be used only when needed. The deeper reason these haircuts work has less to do with age than with visual balance. The eye notices direction, proportion, contrast, shine, and movement. A diagonal fringe guides attention toward the eyes. Crown height creates a vertical path. A tapered neck separates the haircut from the shoulders. A strong perimeter gives the lower face a clear boundary. Texture creates alternating light and shadow, which can make the hair appear fuller. This does not mean every face should be made to look longer or slimmer. A long face may benefit from width. A narrow jaw may look balanced with softness near the chin. Strong features may suit a sharp bob, while delicate features may look beautiful with a soft crop. The best haircut is not the one that follows the most rules. It is the one that supports your features, texture, routine, and personality. Before your next appointment, examine your dry hair as you normally wear it. Look at the crown. Does it have lift or does it lie flat and separate? Find the widest part of the haircut. Is it near the crown, temples, cheeks, or jaw? Does that width balance your face or pull it downward? Look at the fringe. Does it open your eyes or form a heavy curtain? Does it work with your glasses and natural growth pattern? Examine the ends. Do they look full and healthy or thin and transparent? Then lift the crown gently with 2 fingers. If that small adjustment immediately improves the shape, photograph it and show your stylist. Bring 2 or 3 inspiration photographs featuring hair with reasonably similar density and texture. Do not request an exact copy. Identify the elements you like, such as the diagonal fringe, clean perimeter, tapered neck, or crown volume. Discuss maintenance honestly. Ask how often the shape needs trimming, what styling tool is truly necessary, and how the cut will behave when air-dried. Seek an experienced professional when correcting severe damage, transitioning from years of dark dye to silver, dealing with significant thinning, or moving from very long hair to a precise shortcut. If hair loss is sudden, patchy, painful, or accompanied by scalp irritation, consult a qualified medical professional. A haircut can improve balance and the appearance of density, but it cannot treat an underlying condition. Your first step is not choosing the most dramatic style. It is identifying the problem your current haircut creates. Perhaps the crown needs lift. Perhaps the sides carry too much width. Perhaps the ends need a stronger perimeter. Perhaps the fringe needs to open around the eyes. Perhaps the color needs dimension instead of more brightness. Once you identify the problem, select the simplest cut that solves it. A textured crop can create height with minimal styling. Collarbone waves can preserve length while introducing movement. A modern lob can make fine ends appear fuller. A soft shag can add crown volume and diagonal lines. A pixie bob can combine convenience with softness. An architectural bob can create definition through a precise edge. Whichever style you choose, avoid excessive thinning, protect the hair from heat, maintain the shape with regular trims, and use products suited to the hair you have now. The result may be visible immediately, but the most meaningful change is often quieter. You may stop adjusting your hair whenever someone takes a photograph. You may spend less time fighting it in the morning. You may catch your reflection in a window and feel that the haircut finally belongs to you. Several months after we changed Carol's rounded style into a textured crop, she returned to my sunroom. Her silver top had grown slightly longer, and she had learned to style it using only damp fingers and a touch of cream. She told me she had recently attended her granddaughter's graduation. Before changing her hair, she had planned to wear a hat in every photograph. That day, she left the hat in the car. It may sound like a small victory, but it was not small to her. A haircut cannot solve every insecurity. It can, however, stop working against you. It can become something you enjoy rather than something you tolerate. Look honestly at your current style and ask yourself one question. Does this haircut lift my features and represent the woman I am today? Or am I still wearing a shape chosen for a life I lived many years ago? Tell me in the comments which of these 6 haircuts you would feel most confident trying. Subscribe for more practical guidance for women over 60. And in the next video, I will show you the hair colors that quietly flatten mature features and the subtle alternatives that restore depth, softness, and shine.